For more than 10,000 years, the Zerath Empire ruled the stars with cold, silent power. Their world stretched across half the galaxy. Their fleets patrolled every trade lane. Their laws were final, their word unquestioned. For ages, they believed they were unstoppable, because no one ever challenged them. Species rose. Species fell. But the Zerath remained. Their capital world, Vorlax Prime, sat under a glowing sky of green storms and silver clouds. In the heart of the city stood the Imperial Tower, tall enough to touch the atmosphere. Inside, the High Council gathered every sunrise. They lived without fear. They lived without doubt. To them, the galaxy had no mysteries left. But that changed on a quiet evening. The first sign came as a weak vibration in the council chamber. A blue hologram flickered to life at the center of the room. It was a signal, soft, strange, and unfamiliar. The council members paused. They had not seen a new signal from a new species in more than 3 centuries. Councillor Verax frowned. Origin, he demanded. The answer came from a trembling technician. Unknown, Counselor. But, it is coming from the outer void. Sector 9. The place we marked as, unimportant. Unimportant? Lord Chancellor Kor growled. Nothing in this galaxy is unimportant to us. The technician swallowed. The signal comes from a small yellow star. Sol. The room fell silent. They knew of Sol. A tiny system. Primitive. Uncivilized. Not part of any star route. They ignored it for centuries because no species strong enough to matter existed there. But now a message was coming from that system. What does the signal say? Another counselor asked. The technician zoomed in the waveform. It is not a message. It is a ping. A ping? Verax snapped. A simple identification signal. A way of saying, we are here. The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. Someone out there was announcing themselves. Who dares? Kor hissed. Moments later, a new alert blared across the chamber. Another signal. Stronger. Clear. This time not a simple ping, but a full transmission. The hologram expanded into the shape of a ship. A ship the Zerath had never seen before. Long, sharp. Silent. Covered in blue and silver metal that their scanners could not identify. It had no emblem on its hull. No alien markings. Just a single name written in English letters. HSS Voyager. The council stared at it. What kind of metal is this? Verax whispered. Their scanners tried to read the ship. Every attempt failed. Impossible, the technician gasped. Our systems cannot scan inside. The hull blocks everything. That was when the council began to feel something they had not felt in centuries. Fear. A new voice echoed in the chamber. Enemy presence detected in Sector 9, the war AI reported. A vessel has entered Zerath space. How many ships? Kor barked. Only one. The council relaxed for a moment. Only one ship. That meant nothing. They could destroy it easily. Send a warning shot, the Chancellor ordered. Force them to respond. A small patrol frigate near Sector 9 fired a controlled beam, meant to scare, not destroy. But then something unexpected happened. The human ship did not dodge. Did not activate shields. Did not move. The beam struck the hull, and disappeared like water touching hot stone. No damage. No energy trace. No effect. What is that armor made of? Verax shouted. Before anyone could answer, the unknown ship responded. A message appeared on every Zerath screen. Stand down. Just 2 words. Simple. Calm. Human. But those words shook the council like an earthquake. In 10,000 years, no species had ever spoken to the Zerath with such cold confidence. Kor slammed his fist. "Where is this vessel from?" The technician replied, "Their star, their home planet, the system is called Earth." "Earth?" the council repeated. It sounded too small to matter. Too weak to fear. But the fear inside them grew anyway. The technician hesitated. "There is something else." The hologram shifted again. Behind the strange ship, space twisted like liquid. A hole appeared. A doorway made of swirling white-blue light. A gate. One far more advanced than anything the Empire had ever built. The gate opened wider, and shadows moved inside it. "What are those shapes?" Kor asked. The technician zoomed in. At first, the figures were blurry. Then they sharpened. The council felt their breath freeze. They were ships. Not one. Not two. But hundreds. And all of them were human. Silent. Perfect. Waiting. The message repeated a second time, now louder. "Stand down." The Zerath Empire, rulers of the stars for millennia, finally understood something horrifying. A new power had arrived. A species they ignored. A species they dismissed. A species they never expected. Humans. And this was only their first step into the galaxy. The Zerath Empire had faced rebellions, invasions, and disasters for thousands of years. But nothing had ever shaken them like the arrival of the strange human ship. Even after the first shock, the council kept hoping the situation was a simple mistake. Maybe the humans were lost. Maybe they were weak. Maybe their strange technology was just a lucky trick. But deep inside, every Zerath leader felt the same sharp fear. Something powerful had entered their galaxy. And it moved with quiet confidence. On Vorlax Prime, alarms echoed through the military command hall. Officers rushed between screens, analyzing the gate behind the human vessel. The gate's swirling energy was unlike anything they had studied in their long history. Counselor Verax approached the war table, his voice trembling despite his attempt to sound calm. "Can we close the gate?" he asked the engineers. "No," the chief engineer replied. "We do not understand the energy source. It is stable but unnatural." "Unnatural?" Kor snapped. "What does that even mean?" "It means," the engineer whispered, "someone has technology far beyond ours." The council members felt their stomachs tighten. Their empire was built on being the strongest, the smartest, the most advanced. And now, with one calm message, "Stand down," the humans had broken that illusion. Far away, in Sector 9, Zerath patrol ships hovered near the human vessel. They kept their distance, unsure of what might happen. Their captains argued over whether to attack again or retreat. A young Zerath pilot, Laron, stared at the screen in disbelief. "That ship, it's not even moving," he whispered to himself. As if it was waiting. Watching. Studying them. Suddenly, the human vessel sent a new pulse of energy. It was not a weapon, but a scan, a deep scan that touched every Zerath ship in the area. Their systems flickered. Some lights dimmed. Others surged. "It's scanning us!" Laron shouted. "We can't stop it." Even their strongest shield codes failed instantly. Back on Vorlax Prime, the council received the scan results. A hologram displayed the terrifying truth: the human ship knew everything about them, their engine types, shield strength, weapon output, even crew numbers. "They scanned us in seconds," Verax muttered. Seconds. Kor gritted his teeth. "Enough of this. Authorize a direct strike." The council agreed. A destroyer-class warship moved forward. Its cannons powered up, glowing red. The targeting systems locked onto the human vessel. Fire, the captain commanded. The destroyer released a massive energy blast, far stronger than the earlier warning shot. It tore across space like a burning comet. The humans did not move. Did not fire back. Did not even activate shields. The blast hit their hull. And vanished. Not absorbed. Not reflected. Just, gone. Everyone watching froze. "What is this?" the destroyer captain gasped. "What kind of armor ignores a direct hit?" Before the council could react, the human ship sent out a second message. This time the voice was even calmer. "Do not attack again. We will not harm you unless forced." The Chancellor slammed the table. "How dare they give us orders? We are the Zerath. We decide the rules." But his anger only hid his fear. Because something new was happening behind the human ship. The gate widened. Wider. Even wider. A thunder-like vibration shook the observation platforms. More shapes emerged, massive ones. Their outlines became clear through the swirling blue light. A fleet. Not 5 ships. Not 50. But hundreds. Each one enormous and silent, built with the same mysterious metal. The formation was so perfect it looked like a single organism moving in unity. Verax's voice cracked. "What kind of discipline is this? No species can maintain formation so perfectly." The technician corrected him softly. "No alien species. But humans, maybe they can." As the fleet stabilized, the largest ship appeared. It dwarfed every Zerath capital ship ever built. Its hull was dark silver with sharp blue lines. Its size alone made the council take a step back. The name slowly appeared along the side. HSS Titanus. "This is their flagship," the Chancellor whispered. Another message came, this time from the Titanus itself. "We come in peace. But we will protect human lives wherever they are." A strange silence filled the entire council chamber. Human lives. Human colonies. Did Earth already have colonies the Zerath didn't know about? Core demanded a report. Do humans have territory inside our borders? The report arrived. The answer turned the room cold. "Yes," the officer said quietly. "A small human science colony existed near Nebra, 4. One of our border fleets destroyed it 2 weeks ago." Silence. Then realization. The humans weren't here to explore. They weren't lost. They weren't wandering. They had come because the Zerath had killed their people. "They know," Verax whispered. "They know what we did." The Chancellor's voice shook. "We must prepare for war." But even he knew it was not war the humans wanted. It was justice. The human fleet shifted position, silent, controlled, unstoppable. Zerath soldiers across the galaxy felt something ancient and terrible. Their first taste of fear. This was not the beginning of a war. This was the beginning of the end of the Empire's era. The Zerath Empire always saw themselves as the galaxy's oldest, strongest, and most advanced rulers. But as the human fleet silently expanded near Sector 9, a painful truth settled across Vorlax Prime. They knew almost nothing about humanity. Inside the Imperial Tower, the Council assembled again. This time, no one spoke loudly. No one bragged about their strength. The air was heavy, tight, and strangely cold. Screens showed the human flagship HSS Titanus standing guard like a metal mountain. Zerath defense grids were active, but powerless. Their scanners tried again and again to understand human technology, but every scan returned the same answer. Unknown. 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 Counselor Verax finally broke the silence. "We cannot fight a species whose technology we cannot even identify." Chancellor Core gritted his teeth. "Then we must understand them. We must learn who they are." The council ordered a diplomatic channel to open. A holographic screen brightened. For the first time in Zerath history, they saw a human commander. He appeared calm, wearing a simple dark uniform, no armor, no weapons visible. His eyes were steady, focused. And strangely, not afraid. "I am Commander Elias Ward of the Human Star Union," he said. "Who speaks for the Zerath Empire?" Even Kor, who had destroyed entire worlds without blinking, felt the weight of those words. This man did not look like a conqueror. He looked like someone who had nothing to prove. Kor stepped forward. "I am Chancellor Kor, ruler of the Zerath Dominion. Why have you brought your fleet here? What do you want from our empire?" The human's answer was slow and steady. "We didn't come for your empire," Elias said. "We came for our people." Verax's breath stopped. "Our people?" Elias nodded. 2 weeks ago, a human research colony near Nebra 4 was destroyed. 300 civilians were killed. The council froze. Everyone knew the truth. A border commander had mistaken the colony for a pirate base and eradicated it without investigation. To the Zerath, that was normal. They had crushed thousands of outposts over the centuries. No one ever had the power to complain. Until now. Elias continued. "We tracked the signal. We found debris. We recovered bodies. And then we came here, to ask why." There was no anger in his voice. And that scared the council more than if he had shouted. Anger could be understood. Calmness was dangerous. Chancellor Kor hesitated, voice low. "That attack was unintended." Elias raised one eyebrow. "Do you always destroy unknown stations without scanning them?" Verax's hands shook. They had no answer. But the human commander didn't wait. He pressed a button on his console. A second hologram appeared, showing the destroyed colony. The broken landing pads, the collapsed domes, the burned research equipment. Every detail was painfully clear. Then, the faces. Humans lying still among the ruins. Kor looked away. "The Empire has been harsh," the Chancellor admitted. "But we maintain order." The human commander studied him for a moment. "Order," Elias said softly, "is not the same as peace." His words stung more than a weapon. For the first time in their long rule, the council felt judged. Verax finally spoke. "How did your people advance so far without our knowledge? How did we not detect your rise?" Elias exhaled slowly. "You were looking outward," he said. "We were looking inward." The hologram shifted again. This time it showed Earth. Green forests. Blue oceans. Cities full of light. Then it showed massive stations orbiting Earth, rings of metal with glowing cores. Then deeper images, floating shipyards, energy labs, quantum gates, training academies. "You hid your advancement," Kor realized. "We had no reason to reveal ourselves," Elias replied. "For centuries we stayed inside our borders. We studied. We evolved. We watched the galaxy, including you. You watched us." Verax whispered. "Yes," Elias answered. "We watched the way you conquered. The way you punished. The way you crushed every species that grew too fast." Kor's eyes widened. "You feared us?" "No," Elias said it almost gently. "We feared becoming like you." That sentence hit the council harder than any weapon. Humans weren't here for revenge. They weren't here for glory. They weren't even here for power. They were here because the Zerath had crossed a line. The Emperor shifted uncomfortably. "What will you do now?" he asked. Elias's answer was simple. "That depends on you." The council leaned forward. "If you continue your old ways," Elias said, "our fleet will stop you. Completely. But if you walk a different path, we will help you rebuild something better. Kor laughed nervously. Help us? Why would you help us after we killed your people? Elias looked directly at him. Because strength is not proven by destruction. It is proven by discipline. By restraint. By choosing a better way. The room fell silent. No Zerath leader had ever been spoken to like this. No one had ever dared. But Elias didn't pause. We didn't come to rule your empire, he said. We came to end the era of fear. Verax's voice was quiet. And if we refuse? Elias tapped a final command. Behind him, the Titanus and all human ships shifted formation. Their engines glowed brighter. Their shields shimmered. Every Zerath sensor pinged with one terrifying truth. The human fleet was not at full power before. Now it was preparing. You won't refuse, Elias said calmly. Because you know the cost. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. The council realized they were no longer speaking to a young species. They were speaking to the new power of the galaxy. And this time, the Zerath were the ones being judged. The entire galaxy waited with silent breath. After the tense meeting between the Zerath Council and Commander Elias Ward, there was a brief moment when peace seemed possible. A moment when the Zerath could have stepped back, accepted responsibility, and changed their future. But empires built on pride rarely choose wisdom. And the Zerath dominion was built on 10,000 years of arrogance. While the council pretended to consider peace, they secretly gathered their greatest weapon. The Obsidian Armada, 12,000 warships stationed in hidden sectors, each designed to destroy planets, crack moons, and erase civilizations. Inside a dark war chamber deep beneath Vorlax Prime, Chancellor Kor stood before a black holographic map showing the human fleet. They threaten our rule, he growled. If we allow them to judge us today, they will replace us tomorrow. The Empire must strike. Generals bowed in agreement. The Emperor, silent and trembling, nodded slowly. His fear was clear, but his pride was louder. Activate the Armada, he ordered. This ends tonight. Across the galaxy, thousands of Zerath warships roared to life. Their engines ignited like purple suns. Their cannons glowed. Their nuclear vaults opened. Their gravity splitters warmed. And all of them moved toward one destination. Sector 9. Meanwhile, in the human flagship HSS Titanus, Commander Elias stood in the observation deck. Beside him, Admiral Lien Nova watched the stars shift. For a moment I hoped they would choose peace, she said softly. Elias nodded. But power built on fear does not surrender easily. A sensor officer approached. Sir, massive fleet signatures incoming. Their numbers are beyond anything we've seen. How many? Elias asked. The officer swallowed. 12,000 warships. The bridge fell silent. Humans did not panic. Humans did not scream. They simply adjusted their formation with practiced control. Elias spoke calmly. They made their last mistake. The Zerath fleet arrived in waves, layer after layer of black metal ships. They surrounded the human fleet from all angles, forming a dark ring across the stars. The numbers were overwhelming. Even the strongest species in the galaxy had never dared gather such force. General Vrax, commander of the Obsidian Armada, broadcast a message. Humans, he said with a smirk, your technology is impressive. But you are outnumbered 40-1. Surrender your fleet or be erased. Elias appeared on screen. General Vrax, he said calmly, your fleet is not the problem. Your thinking is. Vrax laughed. Arrogance will not save you. It's not arrogance, Elias replied. It's math. Before Vrax could respond, all 12,000 Zerath ships fired at once. The stars lit up with destructive energy, plasma beams, gravity torpedoes, dark matter bombs, antimatter spears. A storm of color and death rushed toward the human fleet. Every species watching the broadcast, from tiny moon colonies to distant trade stations, held their breath. This was the biggest attack in 10,000 years. The human ships remained still. Then, a pulse of blue light rippled across the Titanus. Aegis protocol activated. A massive shield expanded around the entire human fleet, one shield, not hundreds. A single energy barrier covering every human ship like a protective bubble. Zerath weapons hit it. And vanished. Not deflected. Not absorbed. Simply erased from existence. General Vrax stared in disbelief. What kind of shield is that? It's not a shield, Elias said. It's a law. Vrax blinked. A law. A quantum rule we impose on space itself, Elias explained. Inside the Aegis field, destructive energy cannot exist. The Zerath generals panicked. Weapons ineffective. Third volley failed. Dark matter shots neutralized. Gravity imploders had zero effect. Still, the Zerath fired again. And again. And again. Their attacks turned into silent fireworks against the Aegis field. The crowd of alien observers watching from across the galaxy understood. They were witnessing the fall of the old era. After 3 minutes, Elias gave his only command. Disarm them. A soft hum filled the human fleet. One pulse. One wave. One silent breath. The EMP aurora, a peaceful but overwhelming energy wave, spread from the Titanus like a glowing ripple. It touched every Zerath ship across the sector. And in an instant, engines died. Weapons shut down. Shields collapsed. Power vanished. 12,000 warships turned into drifting metal statues. General Vrax's command center went dark. His screens died. His weapons froze. He stared helplessly at the dark interior of his ship. What have they done to us? He whispered. Elias answered. We ended your ability to kill. Nothing more. No human ship had fired a single weapon. Not one Zerath crew member was harmed. But the Empire had lost its greatest armada in under 5 minutes. The Emperor trembled. Kor screamed in rage. Verax covered his face in shame. The old rulers of the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans could have destroyed them easily. But chose not to. And that restraint was more frightening than any weapon. Humanity did not win with fire. They won with discipline. With control. With strength used wisely. This was not just the end of a battle. This was the end of the Zerath era. And the beginning of something new. The Obsidian Armada, the strongest creation of the Zerath Empire, floated powerless in the silent dark. 12,000 ships, once feared across half the galaxy, now drifted like quiet shadows. Not one engine glowed. Not one weapon hummed. Not one ship could move. The human fleet remained untouched. And that was the moment the galaxy understood. Power had a new name. Humanity. On Vorlax Prime, the Imperial Tower shook with panic. Generals shouted. Advisors collapsed to their knees. The Emperor trembled behind his throne, his long robe dragging on the cold floor. We cannot win, he whispered. Chancellor Kor slammed his fists on the table, refusing to accept reality. This is not possible. No species can disable an entire armada without firing a single weapon. Counselor Verax, who had been silent for hours, finally raised his head. It is not about their weapons, Verax said softly. It is about their ethics. Everyone stared. Humans showed us what true strength looks like, he continued. They defeated 12,000 ships, and still refused to kill us. For the first time in his life, Kor could not answer. Because it was true. The Zerath Empire had survived for millennia by crushing enemies. Humans survived by mastering themselves. The difference was enough to break the old world. Far above the capital planet, the HSS Titanus descended through the clouds like a metal sun. Its engines hummed softly, not threatening, just powerful and calm. Human shuttles touched down on the landing platforms outside the Imperial Tower. They did not arrive with soldiers carrying heavy weapons. Instead, they brought med teams, diplomats, engineers, and peace officers. Commander Elias Ward stepped out first. His boots touched Zerath stone as if he were stepping into history itself. Behind him, Admiral Lien Nova carried a slim tablet full of data, rebuilding plans, economic maps, proposals for new laws. No human wore armor. No human held a gun. They were not here to conquer. They were here to change everything. Inside the tower, the Emperor struggled to stand. When Elias entered the hall, the Emperor bowed his head, not out of forced respect, but from fear and relief. Human commander, he said shakily, if you wish to take the throne, the Empire is yours. Elias stopped walking. His expression did not change. His voice stayed calm. I do not want your throne. Whispers spread through the chamber. Elias continued, humans do not want to rule your empire. We want to end the suffering your rule created, for your people and for others. The Emperor blinked. You want peace. We want balance, Elias replied. We want justice. And we want a future where no child in this galaxy lives in fear of your fleets. Kor stepped forward angrily. Then what do you demand? If not our throne, what? Elias answered simply. A council. Not ruled by fear, but by cooperation. Admiral Lien spoke next, her voice gentle yet firm. We will help you rebuild. But you must accept equal voices from all species, Zerath, human, and every world your empire controlled. Verax looked stunned. You would share power? With us? Elias nodded. Peace is never one-sided. It must include everyone. The Emperor lowered his head. And if we refuse? Elias did not threaten. He did not raise his voice. You saw what we can do, he said quietly. But we do not wish to do it again. Choose the future that ends in life, not destruction. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Zerath Empire chose humility. We accept, the Emperor whispered. Kor collapsed to his knees. Verax closed his eyes in relief. The era of fear was over. Within days, the galaxy changed. Human engineers repaired power grids on conquered planets. They rebuilt destroyed cities. They delivered food to starving colonies. They shared medicine freely. Zerath citizens, who had lived under strict control, received something new. Hope. Mothers saw clean water for the first time. Workers received fair pay. Children played outside without fear of soldiers. Across space, emissaries from dozens of worlds arrived to join the new council. Humans didn't tell them what to do, they invited them to speak. Old enemies sat at the same table. Old wounds began to heal. Old systems collapsed, replaced by unity. This was not the human empire. This was something better. This was the Galactic Alliance, guided by humanity's ideals. One evening, on a rebuilt orbital station above Vorlax Prime, Admiral Lien walked onto a viewing deck. She saw something that made her smile. A small Zerath child held the hand of a human child. They laughed together, pointing at the stars. Two little lives from two old enemies, standing as friends. Commander Elias stepped beside her. Do you think this will last? Lien asked. Elias watched the children for a moment. It will, he said softly. Because when we arrived, they ruled the stars with fear. And now? Lien asked. Now, Elias smiled, they walk beside us. Above them, human and Zerath ships patrolled together, not in battle formation, but in harmony. The galaxy had a new rhythm. A new balance. A new future. The age of terror had ended. And the human era had begun.